to another episode of Plots, Ships, and Fanfics. I am your host, Palmer Planeswalker Christensen, and joining me again this week is my favorite at-risk youth, Dakota Blackett. And
what is that supposed to mean?
That is supposed to mean exactly what you told me it means. People are concerned about your mental health, and it's okay. It's okay to be sad.
Okay, fair enough.
But people will sincerely miss you. I'll miss you. The audience will miss you. Your parents and friends, other than me, that may or may not exist, will miss you. We're leaning to the may not, but that is all right.
I don't know if this is making me happy or sad.
Whatever it's making you in a few days. Oh no, I don't want to find a Dakota hanging tree. It was going to be a sad day. It'd be a wildly sad day. There might be a Palmer hanging tree right next to it if that were the case. Enough about group suicide. On to plots. So, this week, Wizards of the Coast had some news for us. Last Monday, like we discussed a little bit with Jason, there was going to be some banning happening in the format, and we theorized that maybe Saheeli Rai would be banned, maybe Felidar Guardian would be banned, maybe Heart of Kiran would get banned, and it turns out Wizards wanted to do the most surprising thing that they possibly could, the thing that no one expected. No bans. And that was devastating to myself because I wanted to play standard and the cards that I wanted to use were above curve but not as insane as the cards my opponents would be using. And with no bans, I would lose turn 4 with Felidar Guardian. What it does is on turn 4 you make an infinite combo that wins you the game with infinite 1/4 cats. It's alright. Now we're all on the same page. Or I might still be a couple chapters ahead. But you understand what's going on right now.
Muscle man.
What that made was it gave the 4-color Saheeli Rai combo cat deck all of the answers that were given in Amonkhet. It made it the best deck, leagues above the other decks. And Wizards, 2 days later, did an emergency ban of the Felidar Guardian, the cat of the combo. And almost immediately, one of my favorite websites is MTG Goldfish, and they track the prices of cards. Saheeli Rai was rising steadily, especially with all of the good new cards. It was 25 and it went up to like 30 something, and then the ban happened and it crashed over the course of hours, mere minutes, to a stupendously low $5 I think it's hanging out at right now.
It's not too bad.
From 30 to 5 is a 6-fold decrease.
Well, considering that there's like 25-cent cards out there.
This is fair. It is a mythic rare, however, and a planeswalker.
Oh, that's what I didn't realize.
So, going from great to awful, and people needing 4 of these and spending $100 to get their playset, and having that $100 transform into, what would that be, $20? Kind of rough. I have a $100 bill in my wallet, and if I opened it up one day and there's just a $20 bill sitting there, I'd be a little disappointed and kind of surprised.
Yeah, that does suck. But it could be worse.
Okay. I guess if they banned Saheeli, then it would be worth absolutely nothing, like a $2 card, or less. So I suppose you can see the silver lining in this one.
That's what I'm here for.
What I think is particularly interesting. Although the format is good now and people can do whatever they want, um, I think this really undermines the trust that people have in Wizards. Right now, they have a ban schedule where every 6 weeks they release a ban list. New banned and restricted cards. Well, new old cards that are being banned. Um, and what this does is it shows that you can't really trust Wizards because they might say one thing and do something completely different. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm thinking when you take a piece of paper that's, how much would you say a Magic card, like, product is worth?
What do you mean?
Like just a single, like, card. Like, how much did it cost them to make that?
Oh, absolute pennies. Nothing. Like, to print an entire sheet, maybe $1, and that's like the whole set. So nothing.
So I'm thinking the only value that actually is on these cards is what the players put into it. So really, it's the players can't trust themselves.
Yes, it is a complete fiat currency. You are correct. Our idea of cards is based on what other people's idea of cards. If I was the only one who thought that this card was valuable, then no one would buy it, no one would trade for it. It would just be me. I can declare my shoe to have $10,000 worth of value, but I'm not able to buy a car with my shoe, no matter how much I try. And believe me, I have bartered my way. I still have both of them, so you can see that my transactions have not gotten me very far.
Okay. But I see how the inconsistency with the banning could make some people a little miffed.
Yeah, and it makes people wary to play standard. This one's a rare exception to the rule because now the format is good. And now people like me want to play standard, where before I could not beat a turn 4 kill. And no one really could. But it really makes you weary for the future. What cards are going to be too good? Are my Heart of Kiran's going to get randomly banned? Is it safe to spend $60 to get a playset, or should I just play other older formats like Modern or Vintage or EDH? Always a fan of Commander. And we'll just have to let time see this one. I think this standard is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of people are going to play it. But if Wizards keeps going down this dark path, then we're going to end up with Emperor Palpatine, and that's no fun for anybody. Note, this past couple of weeks, Nintendo released new amiibo. Do you know what amiibo are?
Like little figurines, you put them on a thing and they play.
Yes, they are a new way of gaming. It's called Toys to Life, brought to us mostly by Skylanders and how insanely popular that has become. And Nintendo, who it's absolutely a massive gimmick, but what it does for me is very exciting. I don't have a lot of amiibos, but the ones I do have are very particular. This has created the perfect form for waifus.
There it is.
You have characters that Nintendo hasn't made anything for, and now you have little figurines, and what's better is that you can make your little space princess Rosalina go in-game, and you can make her pseudo-real.
This is going to escalate way too quickly, and it's going to be awful.
And it's going to be glorious. And you have characters, this new release brought to us some of the greatest waifus throughout history. We have Bayonetta, one of the strongest contenders in not only is she too good for the game she's in, Smash Brothers. I know she is in her own games, Bayonetta's. Have both of them. Pretty phenomenal. Fan service. Um, but besides the fan service, they have great gameplay and fantastic character, we'll call it development. Very developed characters, if you would. And another more interesting for me, not for the appeal of the individual itself, but because I love the game, is there is a new...
In the agenda, we have it labeled under new amiibo, but I think what it's supposed to say is new waifus.
No,
What's
she's
going
a
on
very
here?
old waifu. Come on. She's for the mature audiences.
I want to see when they get the life-size amiibos.
Oh my goodness, those would sell like hotcakes.
They'd be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
But what was really interesting was they now have a Majora's Mask amiibo. Link, I should define it. A Link from Majora's Mask. They have about a dozen different Links now. Between the 8-bit Link, the Skyward Sword Link, the Ocarina of Time Link, the Smash Brothers Link, and now Majora's Mask Link joins the battle. He has 3 of his masks, the iconic ones, and he was put on sale 2 days ago and sold out within an hour. Wonderful, wonderful for Nintendo to be back on their game. And the Switch, I have not made the Switch for the Switch, but I will be getting these new amiibos. I will have to wait to obtain my Majora's Mask amiibo, but I do have Bayonetta on pre-order.
They didn't make that guy more expensive.
Yeah, they actually did up the prices. They were $13 and now they're $16. And they're still selling out.
Wow. What a racket.
What a racket, indeed.
Nintendo's, they know what they're doing now.
After the mistake of the Wii U, I love it. It was a huge mistake. From the naming convention, just being like, essentially, you could even mispronounce it as Wii 2. Everyone had a Wii. This thing didn't really add on to it in any degree. The games were lackluster at best. We didn't get a main release 3D Mario game. The closest we got was Mario 3D Land, which is amazing, but it's not a...
So why are you complaining?
Because it falls in line with the 2D games. It's along the lines of the original ones, and the new Super Mario Brothers saga they were throwing at, but it's not a Super Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Sunshine-esque game. We're getting one of those. Super excited. Love me the 3D platformers. And I did enjoy the 2.5D-esque pseudo 3D experience that Super Mario 3D World brought, but it wasn't everything I'm looking for.
That 2.5D blew my mind.
What do you mean?
Just when you said that, I just shut down for a second.
Cannot compute. Need processing.
Much like everything else.
But we've entered kind of a video game drought, so the announcement of new amiibo is video game news-esque. No new games are coming out for, well, there's new games, but nothing of note is coming out for the next couple of weeks. And nothing really came out for the couple of weeks before, save it be the release of, like, Yooka-Laylee or Mass Effect Andromeda. Both of which are good, but they're not, like, anything to need to change your pants over. The horses have returned. The fandom My Little Pony is kind of really small now, and it's not being helped out by the show. And although how to phrase, this has been my least favorite season so far. Um, and I've stuck it through some of the most childish, as it is a children's TV show, and
Is it really
most.
though?
At times it cannot be. There are definitely some laser battles that go on in some Dragon Ball Z-esque fight sequence that I will show you after this to prove my point. There's a delightful character voiced by John Delancey, the person who plays Q in Star Trek, who basically reprises his role as the same character in this, and every time he shows up in the past was really delightful, as he would destroy the fourth wall and just do whatever the heck he wants because it's an animated cartoon and you can do that. And it was delightful. They've kind of really rung him in, and it's very domesticated whenever he shows up right now. There's some visual gags, but it's not world-bending distortions anymore. This season, usually they start out with a fantastic adventure two-parter, really. I hesitate to call it epic, but that's what it would be called. It's classified as an epic, if you would.
We'll see.
But I could show you a couple of episodes that they won't change your mind on the show as a whole, but you might say these are satisfactory TV. But
We have breached even.
we have breached even, maybe even crossed positive. But these past 3 episodes have all been slice of life episodes. And with characters that have been developed over the course of 7 seasons, to see them still do the same, if not similar things, and to know that we have an 8th season, we do have a relatively expansive world, and they are not exploring it. It's not interesting to see these characters do the same things again, and I'm not jumping ship, but the art has slowed down. There isn't hardly anyone making fan music for it anymore. There aren't any new fanfics being crafted.
Thank goodness.
It's just it's just not what it used to be. And with a movie on the horizon, a theatrical release, and knowing that there's an 8th season is a little disheartening. I wish we could end it off with a bang, like fantastic shows such as Gravity Falls or Over the Garden Wall have ended. They developed, they made good things, and they're over, and that's fine. But this is just dragging on, and it's kind of sad. And I want shows like Steven Universe to go on and do and tell the stories that they have to tell, and they're usually pretty good at it. But this last season, season 4, has had a bit more filler episodes with Steven Universe than previous seasons, and the big reveals weren't as revealing.
So in summation of that, My Little Pony is sinking, but you're still not going to jump ship.
No, of course not. Captain goes down with the ship.
Just going to be really depressed about it, probably walking the deck, just sighing the whole time.
Absolutely. I'm going to grab one of the, whatever they're called, the orchestra's violins, and just play a very sad song.
In the background, everyone else is screaming and they're just diving into the ocean.
Going over to other fandoms. Going over, doing better things. I'm just like, oh, woe is me. There's plenty of life vests and lifeboats on this one. This isn't the Titanic. I could leave if I wanted to. But I'm sitting here just complaining. Because that is what a true fan does. They complain, they hop on their tumblers, and they whine about everything.
Jokes on everyone else, though. Season 8's going to be amazing.
I hope it is. I really hope they reprise it, and I hope they don't get renewed for season 9. I hope they see that season 8 is the end, and they just do something crazy. Like an all-out war, or something just insane. They bring back, they do callbacks, they do everything. But if they get renewed for season 9 and season 10, and they just keep doing mundane slice-of-life episodes, that's not the show I was interested in. It was interesting because it was breaking conventions of children's TV. right there, I know it's weird, right there with Adventure Time, they were doing weird things. And they were doing things like making overarching plots, connecting stories, where usually it wasn't like that. And out of that, we got cool shows like Gravity Falls, Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and they were interesting. But I've talked far too much about this. And I keep bringing it up because I'm trying to transition, but it's not working. Steven Universe has had some leaks, and Steven Universe has had a long history of leaks. This is the last piece of real news that has happened. A entire Steven bomb got released on accident early. Several episodes have been released on accident early. Big plot twists. Supposed, like the first time we saw Yellow Diamond was leaked on accident early, and now some new gems have been released on accident early. We're going to keep this segment spoiler free because, frankly, I keep myself spoiler free, squeaky clean. And although I have accidentally, in doing my Pinteresting and Tumblring and in searching the internet in general, have come across some information, I will choose not to dissuade it. These things are out there, and we only have a couple weeks, 1 week actually, until the new Steven Bomb starts, and we figure this out already.
Maybe that's why I don't get into fandoms. Because they spoil it. Someone else is further along than you are, and then they're going to tell you all about it. Maybe you should just wait till the end, like when it finishes, to go into the fandom. Like, you finish the real thing, then you go back and like it even better. I'm going to try that out.
What do you mean?
I'm going to find some sort of book or something. You know, finish it, then I'm going to go into the theories and fandoms.
You know what we could do that with?
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. Picked it up exactly. Could do that with Gravity Falls. I'm doing that with Undertale, actually. I've never played that because it came out while we were out. And playing it now, loving it. Finished 2 versions of it. I ran through the game twice. And looking into the fandom a little bit, just peeking through my little hole. And it looks a lot of fun. I'm loving it. And I can't wait to beat the game again. And any other thoughts on things that have happened this week in nerd culture?
I haven't been into nerd culture this week.
Okay. Delightful. Well.
Hopefully something better will happen next time. Well, hopefully I'll do something. How about that?
On to ships, then.
Which still isn't what it says it is, but we'll go with it.
Oh, it's absolutely what it says it is, darling.
Oh, please don't.
Gentle touch. I wanted to talk mostly about this week is Dakota's thoughts on canon.
Yay, I get a segment.
Oh, you get all the segments you need. So, what is canon? And what defines something as canon? There's sort of different groups of what is canonical to not only a person, but to a work. Being a massive nerd and big into fandoms, I like to look as many different avenues as I can in putting together what I enjoy, be it official works, fan works, or semi-official works. I'm going to run through a list: A, B, C, and headcanon. A canon is the original work. You want to say something?
No, I'm making sure I understand what you're saying so I can comment later.
Okay. A canon is the initial work. It's the official thing that is produced. It is the TV show, it is the book, it is the thing. B canon is the things like the comic books that are created, things like the spin-off shows. Those are created because something has become so popular that it can make these other things. Like if there was a TV show that spawned a book, Or like if there's a video game that created a book, like in Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, sometimes these B canons are A canons, but most of the time, the thing that came first sets the precedent. And if it ever contradicts what happens in B canon, then that's what is that's what's set. A canon sets precedent. Then there's C canon, which is just things that the author or the creator says. Like relationships that the creator says are accurate, or things that aren't depicted in the show per se, but the creator says happens. And then there's headcanon, which is my absolute favorite, which are things that the fandom comes up with, and is headcanons can fight with each other and has no precedence. Whenever one of the other ones says something is more true, that's what holds. So what are your thoughts on these canons?
I'm going to say A canon, of course, is canon. Why are we calling these all canon? I disagree to this.
Okay. It's the doctrine, A canon.
A canon, yes. I am a huge supporter of that. A canon is everything you have to know. A canon is everything you need to know. It doesn't matter.
Everything you need to know.
Yes, it doesn't matter if there's loose ends. Like, I love a good book that will not wrap everything up and then will never come back to it. It leaves it open to the imagination, but you don't call it canon.
It leaves it open to the headcanon. But
Which we don't call canon.
okay.
B canon, I'm not so much a fan of. That's a gray area, I'd say. I almost think of it as like an alternate universe. It's like, let's look at what would happen if this was a plot or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it has no relevance to the A canon or the actual thing. Like, if it starts to affect A canon, then we can talk. But until then, B canon, I don't consider a viable source.
So, like, for example, if in way back when I was up to date on the Adventure Time comics, I'm catching up, but there was a episode where there was, sorry, not an episode, I almost did the Utah show thing. There is a comic that talked about BMO's past and how she was created and came to be with Finn and Jake, and they went and explored her laboratory. And then there was a episode that referenced it, where BMO talked about that laboratory, but they didn't visit it in the show.
I'd say that's neat. The show, I would say, like you said, takes precedence. Like, I guess the B and C canon are probably pretty closely related. Like, just B canon is kind of published C canon. Is that correct?
Yeah, I could say that. B canon also might not be created by the creators. Like, the comic books for a lot of TV shows are handled by, I believe it's Boom, or IWC, both of them do a lot of comics. But Penn Ward, the creator of Adventure Time, or Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, or Zach Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, all of these shows have comics, and they might ask their creators about them, but they don't actually write the stories for the comics.
Okay, that problem I see, like in, let's use Batman as an example.
Batman is a great example of many things.
Batman, like the comic books, there's so many things that happen by so many different people that there's no way to tell, like, what is the actual canon, like what actually happens. Like, Batman dies a few times. Like, what the heck was with that? And it's all like, it's all a Batman thing, so canon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all contradictory, so I just can't accept it.
So how do you feel about restarts or reboots? Because that's what Batman does.
They haven't done it very well. Um, I'd say rebooting a show works, especially if the original just got so messed up that they had to just say, wiping the slate clean, we're going to create an actual timeline and plot.
Like,
I'm a fan of that.
like what may or may not have happened with The Legend of Zelda.
I still think that Breath of the Wild falls in the timeline that's already created.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It might. What people are theorizing is that this is the connection of the three timelines.
Oh, that'd be neat. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, okay, maybe I thought you had. So this is the. So you like it when a reboot will tie up those loose ends.
That can be really difficult sometimes because there's lots of loose ends in some things. I'm fine with it just saying, throw away everything else. We're going to start from the beginning. Here's our origin story. And this is now canon. Everything else is not.
Okay.
Isn't that sort of what they did with, like, Dragon Ball GT?
Yes.
Just kick that out the door.
And Star Wars did that too, and that's what they. Okay, so you want things to become uncanonical when they do a reboot. Not like with comics where they say, this is a new universe or an alternate universe.
Yes, if they're going to reboot it, I would appreciate starting the canon over.
A severing of the canon. Interesting. Lots of. That really breaks the heart of dedicated fans, though, who have followed a thing for like 10, 20 years. Like with Star Wars, when they severed the canon, there was a lot of people pretty upset because they put a lot of time and investment into learning the lore of this universe, and then all of the books, all of the comics, and all of the games were just made uncanonical.
I think at that point, that's when you have to choose a side. Either you're an old fan or you're a new fan.
So you just make you split the fandom.
A little bit.
Interesting.
I haven't thought too much about it.
It's alright. Kind of calling you on the spot. So, C fandoms then.
C fandoms I'm a big fan of, actually.
Really?
It's not necessary for, like, A canon. Like, A canon is what it is. It's everything, like I said, it's everything you need to know. It's everything that should be there. And it doesn't need any more explanation. Or at least it shouldn't if they do it right. But I think C canon is something that's kind of neat. Like, if you just want to find out, and you can just go and ask the author, and he says, yes, this is true. Even though it's not in the books, you can just have a little secret in your head, I guess. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. What if... Okay. And then a little bit on your headcanon.
Well, headcanon's just nothing. Okay, I won't say nothing, that's rude.
What if an author confirms a headcanon?
I think that's called a fan theorize something that happened to be true.
Well, that would be true if the A canon made it true, but this is if the C canon makes it true.
I'm split on this one. It's either the author succumbed to fan pressure,
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
or the author doesn't care about their own canon.
So it can't be that... Okay.
So, like, give me an example of this. I'm having a hard time picturing it.
Well, the one that kind of brought this to mind was the... I can't even bring myself to say it because you won't take me seriously.
I'll take you seriously.
No, you won't, because it's not a serious show. I'm trying to think of a more serious example. I'm sure there's one with like a Rebecca Sugar-esque or like a Gravity Falls-esque where the author says something is true but the show doesn't show it. Perhaps I should have done a bit more research on it. But the one that comes to mind is an old one for myself where the creator of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Are you familiar with that work of fiction?
Oh, that work of messed up fiction, yes.
The comedy horror show that scarred several children, I'm sure.
Eh, all of them. All the children were scarred.
Not as bad as when they would watch Invader Zim and would watch people get their organs literally harvested.
Off screen.
I still have nightmares about that one. Anywho, the creator of Courage the Cowardly Dog has said that all fan theories are true. That he loves all of the ideas that people come up with, and that he thinks that what they say just has much sway on the show as what he says.
I think for like the type of media that show is, like each show is its own like standalone thing. They do have a few like callbacks, like repeating characters, but for the most part, if I remember correctly, the ending of one show doesn't determine anything that happens in the next one. Like,
see, that's where I
some
was
people-
trying to think of a better example.
some people die in these shows, and then
Come back,
they're
yeah,
there
exactly.
in the next one.
I was trying to think of a better one. But that's
You have
alright.
to have like a connecting plot to have like a really good show. Otherwise, like it's just like little chapters in a universe that I guess at that point anyone could write an episode and it'd be the same thing as if the author made it, just the author didn't.
I'll do my research and try and find an Alex Hirsch one. Alright, well, those are our thoughts. I think that I kind of tend to agree with the Courage creator. I put a lot of, shall we say, continuity behind the headcanons. And I will always yield my thoughts to whatever the show produces. But I think that people's creativity and imagination is wonderful, and I think it actually can sway my opinion on characters.
I don't know if I'd say it'd do that for me. I can appreciate headcanon and like fanfics, and that's what we talk about in these things. But at the same time, they're separate from the actual canon. If that makes any sense. They're two different beasts entirely.
Sure. And
That was very
sure,
strangled. Like,
sure, I think kind of. But this kind of brings me to a thing that I've been doing. I have been catching up on Attack on Titan by reading the mangas.
wonderful.
Wonderful indeed. And I decided to go back to the very first ones, because although I did watch the anime, it's been a minute since I've watched the anime, and I can read quite a bit faster than I can watch. So I've been reading that, and this one is pretty consistent between the two. But there are differences between mangas and animes.
Manga
Which-
is canon.
Manga is canon. What happens when the reverse happens when you have an anime that spawns a manga?
In that case, the anime is canon.
So it's always whatever happens first.
Yes, what happens first is what it is.
Okay.
First come, first serves. In canon.
Does okay. Me not having read, the manga before, or here's a good example, me not having read Dragon Ball manga, but having watched all the animes, I'm sure things are said in the mangas that aren't said in the animes, like they're omitted because filler. What is your thought on that?
Well, the problem is I read the Dragon Ball Z. Well, I didn't read Dragon Ball. I read Dragon Ball Z. I didn't watch it, so I wouldn't know what the differences are. We can compare notes later.
Okay. So, which one is more important then? Because the A you said is everything you need to know, and the B is everything that you might want to know. In this case, the anime, Dragon Ball
With
Z.
C is what you might want to know.
Okay. So what is B?
B's just kind of extra. Like if you want another little adventure that is kind of in your head. Official headcanon, how about that?
Okay, so it would be more important to read the mangas in that case.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm thinking B canon sounds more like something that the author, like the author's own fanfic. Like he wanted to try a new angle in the same
The author's
universe.
fanfic. Interesting.
Sounds
Well,
about right.
with that kind of a statement, that'll bring us to our last segment, fanfics itself. And this week we had just the intro chapter of a rather long fanfic. Do you know how many words it takes to make a novel? What the official count is? Because I heard that it is an official count.
There is for I guess there's different subsets of novels as well. Like there's like a novelette.
That's 10,000 if I remember right.
That does sound correct. I think 40,000
Okay,
is a novel.
wonderful.
Maybe 45,000.
Because the whole of this the whole of this fanfic is 57,000 words. So this person created a literal novel about this show. It's a delightful one. I've given it a listen to. I haven't sat down to read because I like to do other things with my life than just read fanfics. I typically listen to them. The re-listening to this one, making the minor edits, made me really want to listen to it again. This one, the first chapter, does a thing where it makes me want to read more, just because it gives us a lot of ifs and whats. So, we'll get off to it right at the start. What show do you think this comes from?
Gravity Falls.
Alright, why so?
So, I'm not sure why, but something you were saying in the past kind of made me think that at the very beginning. Like, when I started it, I was thinking, this could be Gravity Falls. Halfway through it, I decided I was going to keep an open mind because it didn't sound anything like that. Where was... I can read the part that I figured it out.
Sure.
The girl, what's her name in this?
It's Mary.
Mary?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, she makes a spilled milk joke, and then it says, the girl gave a glittery brace face smile. I had it at braces.
You had it at braces.
Yes, and I guess after that there were a few, like they mentioned their uncle in like a building, and the little I know about Gravity Falls, it fit. But braces was what tipped me off.
I was going to choose a more bizarre chapter from later on, but it was a pain to edit, because this thing involves a lot of characters. And I sort of ran out of time. But, perhaps we'll revisit this one later. What were your thoughts on the fanfic as a whole? Like, what would you rate it?
I thought it was well written. Like I said, I don't know much about Gravity Falls, but I'm guessing that the actual show occurs over the summer, like off with their uncle in like a forest or wherever that is.
Yes.
Like at his shop. And this is giving what happens during school.
Yes. This is after the events of Gravity Falls. So, our characters have developed. This one was not written after Gravity Falls was over, so he does make some things that the A canon does counter.
I was about to praise it, but now I won't.
Oh, come on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I can... Like, after A canon is finished... A canon... Didn't finish that. I am a fan of people giving their, like, opinions on what happens next. There's some things that authors do is they open the universe once they're finished with their show. Or... books, shows, anything. Shows is everything.
Show actually worked in this case.
Show is everything. It is all forms of media when I refer to it as such. But I know, like, the most notable one that I know of is Conan the Barbarian. Yes, the original author opened up the universe, and now there's bunches of authors who are writing their own quote-unquote canon.
Okay.
Which, I guess at that point it's up to the audience to decide what they like best.
It's almost like official headcanon.
Kind of, yeah, but I guess this one's less official. I don't know if they opened the universe, but
No, he didn't open the universe. In fact, he's writing his own books that are continuing the universe.
okay, there we go. That's fun.
So,
But I guess fanfics are after the fact are kind of neat as well.
so out of 5, how would you rate chapter 1 of this 19-chapter novel?
I think I would honestly give it a 5. Like the writing style is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have enough character, personality, and building that. I guess
I will say, this one involves a lot of OC, this guy's original character. How do you feel about original characters?
I think that's probably more praiseworthy in a fanfic than just using the other characters.
Really? Interesting. We'll
'Cause, like,
test this theory in the future.
I guess it gives a little, like the fanfic author has to be more creative. That's all I got.
Alright. Well, we'll find you a good, I think we might turn away from the animated, perhaps, for next week. That would be your slight hint. And, my dear friends,
It's not Star Trek, is it?
my dear friends, we have had a wonderful time with you. Always remember, even if the rest of the world hates you, you can always stay with us. Our door's always open,
I might not be here in the next episodes.
but we'll catch you